Hello. I don't even think I'm muted today. And Zach, you can type in caps all you want. I don't have Nightbot, whatever his name is. But hello, everyone. Wednesday. It's like, what day are we on? Happy Wednesday. Hey, Gabby. Good to see you. No, I did not run around my house and break a hip. Thanks for the warning. Hello, Zach. I have nothing. I have nothing that's going to happen. That's right. Nightbot is rude. Hey, Flash fan. I know what you're having for lunch. I don't know what you had for breakfast. Darn it. Some people just are like, who the heck is Alex Jones? Why is Alex Jones always around Zach? Because I'm waiting for milk. Which, by the way, went to the store this morning. Oh my gosh, there's nothing there. There is nothing there. I went to the produce department. There's no potatoes, very few onions, some tomatoes. They were iffy. But I'm like, why, why is there no food? Did the trucks not get here? There's the meat to the limited. They did finally have some orange juice though, but I'm like, you get a few inches of snow and the world ends around here. It's kind of crazy. But today was the first day I've been out since I think I came home last Thursday, so can't say too much. I hate iffy tomatoes too, especially when they're like $4 a pound. I don't want an iffy tomato at that price. Hey, Toy. Merry Christmas to you too, ma'am. How are you today? Yeah. I'm about to go buy some chickens because I $5 and 50 cents for a dozen eggs is just a little high for me. An iffy tomato is a tomato that you're not, so I need it to get me through tomorrow. And some of them I picked up, I'm like, yeah, you're kind of at the end, and I'm not sure that you'll last till tomorrow. I wanted something a little bit firmer. I hate to say that with this chat, I really do, but that's just what it is. And so they were looking kind of sad. They were sad tomatoes. Look, when they get like a older woman, or man, you start to get crow's feet. I know. That's kind of what they look like. Sometimes they get a little wrinkly. I'm going to stop this conversation. It for sure is, Zach. I didn't even look at the cucumbers. Hello, Adair. I was nice, and I started at 11 a.m. your time. Got here as fast as I could, Adair. I saw you. I saw you in Discord. Hey, Kelly, how's it going? Hope you're staying warm. Hope everybody's staying warm. The cold is like everywhere here. It's gross. But, all right. We are going to get started and read the other threats never work. Just kidding. Sometimes. Sometimes. It's 28 there. You don't have to brag about it. I saw where like Ronnie was cold at 47. I'm like, 47? There'd be people out in shorts here. You're in the house until Thursday? Well, you know what? Speaking of in the house, Flash Fan will be in this house on Friday. He is presenting, he's kicking off our trip around the States with on Friday, and he's going to be recovering. He's not going to be recovering the Freeway Phantom, but we're going to be covering the Freeway Phantom. You're not, don't be scared. You've been on chat now. We did a almost 3-hour stream after my stream on Monday. Oh, toy. You lucky, lucky woman. Do you see? I didn't think like Texas was supposed to get that cold. Well, yes, okay. Carmen did start it. She kind of kicked it off, gave us a preview. So you're kind of she was the unofficial start, I guess. So you're the official start. Don't tell her I said that. Anyway, so that is what's happening Friday. And then Monday, my plan is to do H.H. Holmes. And then Gabby will be taking over on Wednesday. Well, not taking over. She'll be with me on Wednesday and I believe Friday. And nobody told her because she's sleeping. So, haha on you. Joke's on you. I know that she is sound asleep. The winter shorts. So, what I have today is it's still out of that same book. We're not going to go through the whole book. The book's only like 70 pages long. It's not a very long book and it's very interesting, but we don't need to discuss investigative techniques or forensic things that they do or don't do because, we don't. We're not going to. I guess we could, but we're not going to. Not because they're not important, because they are, but that's not where we're going. So I have the next little chapter is kind of what they think makes up a serial unaliver. I took the term SK out because I was getting confused, so I'm sure you guys were getting confused. And so we're just going to go serial unaliver all the way through. And so that way it's all the same. All the same, no confusion. But this is the same book from the symposium that they did out in Vegas, which I'm guessing the symposium days were very short, and then they all went and had a great time. And we'll never know because what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Right? Maybe? Salmon cakes. I like salmon, but I don't like. My dad gets salmon patties there sometimes when we go out to lunch, and I'm like, oh, those things smell so bad. Like when he tortures me and he gets a tuna melt, I'm like, Dad, why? You know I can't stand that stuff. Sorry, my hair. It's like, yuck. I don't know what's in it, toy, other than smelly salmon and stuff to hold it together, like a meatloaf. All right, so this is what the FBI kind of came up with on causality and the serial unaliver. And before we get that started, I had to see what that said. Gabby sent super sticker of a fist bump. Fist bump back, Gabby. Thank you so much. Yes, and leftover salmon guts. So it's like a salmon hot dog. In my mind, I have no idea. That's just what it is to me. All the worst parts. Like a hot dog. Anyway, so following the rest of a serial unaliver, the question is always asked, how did this person become a serial unaliver? That's what we always want to know, right? Whether it's their motive, what made them do this, on anything, even though like prosecutors don't ever have to prove motive in an unaliving case, we always want to know what it is, or at least I do. Maybe it's just me. So that question is always asked, like, how'd they get here? Why'd they do what they do? Why'd they pick who they picked? There's so many questions that sometimes we never um, get answers for, and we just have to be stuck with that. Flash fan, I have never yelled at you, and I never will. So you'll be just fine on Friday. And sorry I ruined hot dogs for you. The answer lies in the development of the individual from birth to adulthood. Specifically, the behavior a person displays is influenced by life experiences, as well as certain biological factors. Serial unalivers, like all human beings, are the product of heredity, their upbringing, and the choices they make throughout development. Causality, I'm probably saying that wrong, but sorry, as it relates to the development of serial unalivers, was discussed at length by the symposium attendees. So when my kids were growing up, I worked at their elementary school as a teacher's assistant, and I worked with, I think they were called emotionally, I think at that time they were like emotionally handicapped children, but they've changed it. I don't know what it is now. But these kids had like the bad home life, emotionally disabled, maybe. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I worked with fourth, fifth, and sixth one year, and then the next year I worked with kindergarten through third, and it was rough because the kindergarten. There was one little boy in the he was a kindergartner, and they had like a restroom in the classroom, so they didn't have to leave. And he would go in there, but he would always have to talk to me the whole time. He would always ask me if I was still standing there. And he never wanted me to shut the door, which I was kind of like, I gotta shut the door. I'm going to go to jail. Couldn't tell him that, but it's like, I'm right here, but I really have to shut the door. and and I asked the teacher that I was working with, what happened? Well, his mom had disappeared. So he wanted to make sure that I was there, that he wasn't going to open that door and I wasn't going to be there anymore. And it broke my heart, absolutely broke my heart that he just probably woke up one day and mom was gone. So, but during that time when I was taking training for that, we would talk about how when you're born, you're just a blank slate, and how every behavior is learned. And, so these poor kids, they just didn't stand a chance. Thank you, Toy, for your super chat. I appreciate it. And you also rock, because I read all your stuff every morning and I love it. She leaves positive affirmations and they're amazing. Most of them hit home for me. So you mentored for years in COVID until they shut it down, of course. I can see you doing that, Zach, because you're a nice fella. It was really sad and it was so hard. That job took a lot out of me, and it was rough. It was rough. Sometimes the parents come in and you really just were like, not going home with you today. And there was nothing you could do about it, you know? Ooh, that's rough, Toy. Your sister is, as a teacher, knows a 5-year-old who witnessed his mom's unaliving. Horrible. Yeah. We had classroom bathrooms. When I was in first grade, I think we had them, but then after that, I don't remember them being in the classroom anymore. But we had boys and girls. So, yeah. Yes. Kids are sponges and they do learn by watching others. And so, does the environment play a role in how these people become what they become? So, back to this. I can't scroll right there. Human beings are in a constant state of development from the moment of conception until death. Behavior is affected by stimulation received and processed by the central nervous system. Neurobiologists believe that our nervous systems are environmentally sensitive, thereby allowing individual nervous systems to be shaped throughout a lifetime. Development of social coping mechanisms begin early in life and continues to progress as children learn to interact, negotiate, and compromise with their peers. In some individuals, failure to develop adequate coping mechanisms results in violent behavior. Sorry, my phone is ringing. I can't answer it. Your teacher told your uncle he couldn't go to the bathroom when he was in school, so he went in the trash can. Good for him. My goodness. That's horrible. I am convinced that Zach says he's convinced that 90% of society's problems could be solved by good parenting, not great parenting, just good. I agree with you. And a two-parent household. Because nothing, and I'm not saying anything against anybody who is a single parent or anything like that. But there's something to have both parents there. Your high school Spanish teacher wouldn't let you leave to use the restroom, so we just walked out. You guys are rebels. Guys are rebels. Neglect and child abuse in childhood have been shown to contribute to an increased risk of future violence. Substance abuse can and does lead to increased aggression and violence. There are documented cases of people who suffer severe head injuries and ultimately become violent, even when there was no prior history of violence. Head injuries are a whole different ballgame. Those are scary because they can completely change a person that from something they weren't to something they now are, and it's weird. I know a couple people in my life that have had head injuries or a brain tumor, and I know them before and I know them after, and whoa, it is and it's crazy. The things they do that you're like, you would have never done that. You would have never done that. Symposium attendees agreed that there is no single identifiable cause or factor that leads to the development of a serial unaliver. Rather, there are a multitude of factors that contribute to their development. The most significant factor in the serial unaliver's personal decision in choosing to pursue their crimes. The most significant factor is the serial unaliver's personal decision in choosing to pursue their crimes. So basically, they're saying they're choosing to become serial unalivers, not alivers. There were several additional observations made by the attendees regarding causality. Predisposition to serial unaliving, much like other violent offenses is biological, social, and psychological in nature, and it is not limited to any specific characteristic or trait. The development of a serial unaliver involves a combination of these factors which exist together in a rare confluence in certain individuals. They have the appropriate biological predisposition, molded by their psychological makeup, which is present at a critical time in their social development. There are no specific combinations of traits or characteristics shown to differentiate serial unalivers from other violent offenders. There's no generic template for a serial unaliver. Serial unalivers are driven by their own unique motives or reasons. Serial unalivers are not limited to any specific demographic group, such as their sex, age, race, or religion. The majority of serial unalivers who are sexually motivated by eroticized violence during development. Oh goodness, I read that like sentence like 6 times, and even my Grammarly app was trying to change it, but I was trying to leave it how they wrote it. So it's kind of weird. For them, violence and sexual gratification are inexplicably intertwined in their psyche. More research is needed to identify specific pathways of development that produce serial unalivers. Flashman. One of the common signs of a serial unaliver, I believe, is head injury, bedwetting, and animal cruelty. They did not mention animal cruelty in this, at least in the parts that I have read. Uh, yeah, and Adair, there are, as I have gone through this, my so I put this in a Word document, and it has, wants to correct things, and then my Grammarly app wants to correct things. And I was going through and ignoring all of them because I didn't write that. And I'm like, why? This was written by, you know, somebody that I guess works with the FBI. And my apps want to change everything. So I'm not sure. I don't know. I do not see a comment from Utoy that was held. I'd say YouTube removed it. Sorry. Oh, um, Grammarly is a blessing and a curse because sometimes I'm going, that's not right. And then sometimes they don't agree. Like the apps to look for mistakes don't agree with each other. And I'm going, well, who's right? Who's right? But anyway, so if you look back, like what we just read about their environment there and their upbringing, I watched an interview with John Wayne Gacy's sister, and she talked about his life at home with his dad and how John Wayne Gacy liked to bake with his mom. And his dad didn't like that because he thought that was going to make John Wayne Gacy choose to be with men and not women. So anytime he would see him kind of doing those activities or anything that he thought wasn't manly, he would, beat the crap out of him. And I mean, and he had a horrible, horrible childhood. And I remember when we got done, my husband and I were watching it, and I remember when we got done, I was like, oh my gosh, how could you, going through everything that he went through, why would anybody expect he wasn't going to grow up and be what he was? And my husband goes, that does not give him an excuse to become a serial unaliver. And I said, I understand that, but it's like his childhood was so bad. He, I'm sure hated his dad, and then he only unalived men or young boys. It all kind of, you could tie it all together in just my unexpert opinion. You could see it. I wasn't excusing it. I was just saying I understood how he got there. I would never excuse that. Because no, that's wrong. Yeah, I think my channel is too small. I don't think I could get Bob Mata on, on my little tiny channel. He'd be like, who are you? They absolutely did. Eileen Wuornos, I think she had a really bad childhood. I think there was a lot of SA in her childhood. Um, Not great. And I agree with you, Toy. I was, because I was thinking about Bundy, and I couldn't remember anything bad in his childhood, but I don't I would not say for 100% that I'm correct on that. If, he did have a decent childhood. That's one of those cases where you kinda just wonder if there's just something off. Yes, Adair. Dahmer was the worst. And I could see Bundy unaliving for power. Absolutely. So you're probably correct, Toy. I think we're gonna cover him at, some point here. I was trying to think if I, because I think when I watched that movie Monster, which was hard, like, she had hard to watch, um, I think she had a really Eileen Wuornos had a really, really bad time with men and, probably had a lot of men that did a lot of bad things to her, and that's probably why she chose them to unalive after she let them do bad things to her sometimes, but whatever. Hey, Ada. How you doing? I hope your, heated mattress cover that I saw you were climbing into last night kept you warm and cozy. Psychopathy and serial unaliving. Adair. Adair has trauma from the classroom bathroom. Toy, type it one word at a time and hit enter. That's how sometimes it works. Attendees at the Serial Unaliver Symposium, I wish I really had to name it that, that would be awesome, agreed that there is no generic profile of a serial unaliver. Serial unalivers differ in many ways, including their motivations for unaliving and their behavior at the crime scene. However, attendees did identify certain traits common to some serial unalivers, including sensation seeking, a lack of remorse or guilt, impulsivity, and the need for control and predatory behavior. These traits and behaviors are consistent with psychopathic personality disorder. Attendees felt it was very important for law enforcement and other professionals in the criminal justice system to understand psychopathy and its relationship to serial unaliving. Also, I did not give any advice on how to put that comment in. You all dreamed that up. I said nothing. Psychopathy is a personality disorder manifested in people who use a mixture of charm, manipulation, intimidation, and occasionally violence over others in order to satisfy their own selfish needs. Although the concept of psychopathy has been known for centuries, Dr. Robert Hare led the modern research effort to develop a series of assessment tools to evaluate the personality traits and behaviors attributable to psychopaths. I'm like trying to read and I keep seeing chat go up, so I'm trying to catch Toy's comment. Maybe that word is what it doesn't like. The one you just typed. It's maybe. I'm trying to wait for this. Oh, that's what it doesn't like. Yep. Dahmer knocked out his victims. Yes. Before unaliving them. Which was nice of him, wasn't it? So he was a bit humane. Yeah. Because if you're gonna unalive me and you knock me out first, I'll give you some points compared to others. Absolutely. With others. Sorry. It hated that comment because she said knocked out. Flash fan. That's probably why it wouldn't let it go through. Dr. Hare and his associates developed the my tongue is so tied, I'm sorry. Psychopathy checklist revised and its derivatives, which provide a clinical assessment of the degree of psychopathy an individual possesses. These instruments measure the distinct cluster of personality traits and socially deviant behaviors of an adult, which fall into 4 factors: interpersonal, affective, lifestyle, and antisocial. It probably was the use of Dahmer and knocked out in the same, maybe. Am I stretching that Dahmer comment? Compliment? No. I mean, yes. I have to think. Don't make me think, Adair. Good morning, Carmen. Go to sleep. But thanks for checking in. The interpersonal traits include glibness, superficial charm, a grandiose sense of self-worth, pathological lying, and the manipulation of others. The affective traits include a lack of remorse and or guilt, shallow affect, a lack of empathy, and failure to accept responsibility. Hey, Christine. How you doing? Hope you're staying warm. The lifestyle behaviors include stimulation-seeking behavior, impulsivity, irresponsibility, parasitic orientation, and a lack of realistic life goals. The antisocial behaviors include poor behavioral controls, early childhood behavior problems, juvenile delinquency, revocation of conditional release, and criminal versatility. That's what you want, a versatile criminal. You want a criminal with some versatility. Go you. The combination of these individual personality traits, interpersonal styles, and socially deviant lifestyles are the framework of psychopathy and can manifest themselves differently in individual psychopaths. And if you've ever watched an interview with somebody that they consider a psychopath, holy cow. There is like when they talk about lack of remorse, no empathy, they just are flat and have no care at what they did to someone. It is insane to watch them just like it's like they went to the store and found some iffy tomatoes and didn't care. They just threw all the tomatoes on the ground and didn't care that it hurt them. It's the only thing I can come up with. But it's really weird to watch an interview with them. Research has demonstrated that in those offenders who are psychopathic, scores vary, ranging from a high degree of psychopathy to some measure of psychopathy. However, not all violent offenders are psychopaths, and not all psychopaths are violent offenders. If violent offenders are psychopathic, they are able to assault, rape, and unalive without concern for legal, moral, or social consequences. This allows them to do what they want whenever they want. Yep, you just summed up my paragraph, Toy. They're not all bad. They are not all bad. But when you watch the ones that are or have done horrible things, they just don't care. They said what you said, so you approve of this paper. You probably could have written it better. All right, Gabby, try being face to face with one. Just the presence they give off makes your body yell danger at you. Okay, good night. If things don't stop waking me up, I'm gonna turn into one. Please don't do that and turn everything off. Carmen, good night. Gabby, I didn't mean to blow up your brain surgery comment there. The relationship between psychopathy and serial unalivers is particularly interesting. All psychopaths do not become serial unalivers. Rather, serial unalivers may possess some or many of the traits consistent with psychopathy. Psychopaths who commit serial unaliving do not value human life and are extremely callous in their interactions with their victims. This is particularly, I can never say that word, evident in sexually motivated serial unalivers who repeatedly target, stalk, assault, I think I can say, and unalive without a sense of remorse. However, psychopathy alone does not explain the motivations of a serial unaliver. Hey, Jess. Oh, lost my. I am well. I hope you are well. Crossing my fingers that I think I got all the situation with the music figured out because it gave me a different message this morning when I uploaded it to YouTube. So thank you for your help yesterday. Ugh, toy, I don't know. Oh, Flashman, I didn't get like a strike and a takedown, but I got a little, I got demonetized on my first video that we did Monday, but I just replaced that music and then I fixed it. So since I have to upload a new stream intro for every stream that we're going to do on this, it will be fine from here going forward. I just have to make sure that my YouTube and my Canva account are linked, and somehow they weren't linked anymore. Dare. No one knows yet who is or isn't an SK. There is only there is more of a chance it's male. That is probably true, Adair. I agree with you. Nope, no copyright school for me. Not yet. Not yet. Glad to say I passed with flying colors the first time. Understanding psychopathy becomes particularly critical to law enforcement during a serial unaliving investigation and upon arrest of the psychopathic serial unaliver. The crime scene behavior of psychopaths is likely to be distinct from other offenders. This distinct behavior can assist law enforcement in linking serial cases. Yes, Jess, there has at least one was Eileen Wuornos. They actually gave her capital punishment, and it was carried out pretty quick. And then, the giggling granny that Carmen did a couple of weeks ago, I think would have been considered uh, a serial unaliver because of how many victims she had. But I think at the time that she was committing her crimes, they would have not looked or put that tag on her. Yes. Same with minors. They're overlooked as suspects because you think they can't be that bad. And you would hope that they're not that bad. But some of them are, unfortunately. And I don't like to say that about minors. Psychopaths are not sensitive to altruistic altruistic interview themes, such as sympathy for their victims or remorse/guilt over their crimes. They do possess certain personality traits that can be exploited, particularly in their inherent narcissism, selfishness, and vanity. Specific themes in past successful interviews of psychopathic serial unalivers focused on praising their intelligence, cleverness, and skill evading of capture. A dare. Oh, a dare. And I've had a girlfriend who were psycho, but not serial unalivers that you know of. Well, you're still alive. Yeah, Jess, I think you're correct. I think they believed that females, we were just so perfect. We could never be serial unalivers. Dang it to whoever ruined it. Jesse Pomeroy was a 12-year-old serial unaliver in the 1800s. Ooh, Flash fan. Interesting. Attendees recognize that more research is needed concerning the links between serial unaliving and psychopathy. I've said that word so many times I can't even say it anymore. Psychopathy, in order to understand the frequency and degree of psychopathy among serial unalivers. This may assist law enforcement in understanding and identifying serial unalivers. That might be interesting for Gabby. Yes, scheduled frolicking on the beach later. Be there, ladies. Don't forget your babies. All right, motivations and types of serial unaliving, the symposium model. Over the past 20 years, law enforcement and experts from a number of varying disciplines have attempted to identify specific motivations for serial unalivers and how to apply those motivations to different typologies developed for classifying serial unalivers. These range from simple, definitive models to complex, multi category typologies. Am I saying that word right? That are laden with inclusion requirements. Most typologies are too cumbersome to be utilized by law enforcement during an active serial unaliving investigation, and they may not be helpful in identifying an offender. Kelly can't make it. She'll be busy thinking about the jurors. Yeah, that one's an int and, it's a case that will never be solved. Oh, Jack the Ripper. Jess says, "I always wondered if the Ripper one was female, and that's why they weren't caught." Very well could have been, because we will never know. The attendees at the symposium discussed the issues surrounding motivation and the use of typologies to categorize varying types of serial unaliving. Identifying motivations in the investigation of a crime is a standard procedure for law enforcement. Typically, motivation provides police with the means to narrow the potential suspect pool. The same logical steps are taken when investigating homicide cases. As most homicides are committed by someone known to the victim, police focus on relationships closest to the victim. This is a successful strategy for most unaliving investigations. The majority of serial unalivers, however, are not acquainted with or involved in a consensual relationship with their victim. And that's also kind of where we get tunnel vision sometimes, because they're so convinced that somebody close to the victim did it, because generally is somebody close to the victim. And sometimes they get it wrong because they just focus so hard on what they know instead of kind of expanding the net a little bit to see what's out there. Do I think the Freeway Phantom can be caught? I'll tell you Friday. I want to see what you got. Ask me that on Friday. For the most part, serial unaliving involves strangers with no visible relationship between the offender and the victims. This distinguishes a serial unaliving investigation as a more nebulous undertaking than that of other crimes. Since the investigations generally lack an obvious connection between the offenders and the victims, investigators instead attempt to discern the motivations behind the unalivings as a way to narrow their investigative focus. Serial unaliving crime scenes can have bizarre features, true, that may cloud the identification of a motive. The behavior of a serial unaliver at crime scenes may evolve throughout the series of crimes and manifest different interactions between an offender and a victim. It is also extremely difficult to identify a single motivation where there is more than one offender involved in the series. The attendees at the symposium made the following observations. Motive generally may be difficult to determine in a serial unaliving investigation. A serial unaliver may have multiple motives for committing his crimes. I think it should say their crimes. A serial unaliver's motives may evolve both within a single unaliving as well throughout the unaliving series. A classification of motivation should be limited to observable behavior at the crime scene. Even if a motive can be identified, it may not be helpful in identifying a serial unaliver. Utilizing investigative resources to discern the motive instead of identifying the offender may derail the investigation. Investigators should not necessarily equate a serial unaliver's motivation with the level of inquiry. Regardless of the motive, serial unalivers commit their crimes because they want to. The exception to this would be those few unalivers suffering from severe mental illness. To assist law enforcement in narrowing the pool of suspects, attendees at the symposium suggested that broad, non-inclusive categories of motivations be utilized as guidelines for investigation. The following categories listed below represent general categories and are not intended to be a complete measure of serial offenders or their motivation. There is a rule. If a person with with a, I think I can say weapon. You probably couldn't type it though, is forcing you to leave an area, don't. Yes, make them commit their crime where you are. Better chance of law enforcement finding your unaliver. True. Don't go. Because if you go, uh, you are probably a goner. I tell my husband, my son, my daughter, whatever, that even though like when I get in my car, I have it programmed so that only my side unlocks, only the driver door unlocks, so that when I unlock it, all the doors don't, so nobody can jump in my car when I do. However, I've told them if somebody jumps in my car and, you know, tries to take me somewhere, I'm going to wreck. I'm going to hit the gas and I'm going to crash into whatever's in front of me. And that's going to be, if that's the end of me, that's the end of me, because it'll probably be a better way than what they're going to do to me. So, did you say they caught Jack the Stripper? That sounds like a horrible certain type of movie name. Huh. Yeah, I just hope, well, one, I hope that never happens to me, Toy, but I hope that if it does, I've thought about it enough that I'll just do it. I'm still Jack the Stripper. Flashman. Zach the Stripper. Ah. That's hilarious. Carmen, I thought you were asleep. If someone tried to do something to you, Lord help them. Oh, I know. I know. And that is comforting, knowing that they would suffer. Jack the Stripper is a real life serial unaliver. And then Zack the Stripper was a long time ago because $20 is $20. I mean, that Zack wearing no clothes can be misunderstood as you being a stripper who already stripped. It's a common misunderstanding. I like Kelly. Zack, at one time at band camp, well, once it's out there, Zack, it's out there, even in Polaroids. Adair. Adair's going to steal Zach's joke. If a carjacker got into Adair's car, I would say, what are the odds of two carjackers in the same car? They'd be like, what? All right. Uh, sorry. The following categories listed below represent general categories and are not intended to be a complete measure of serial offenders or their motivations. Anger is a motivation in which an offender displays rage or hostility toward a certain subgroup of the population or with society as a whole. Criminal enterprise is a motivation in which the offender benefits in status or monetary compensation by committing unaliving, that is, drug, gang, or organized crime related. There is no such thing as the mafia, so I don't know what organized crime they're talking about. App workout on AJ stream. Ooh. Financial gain is a motivation in which the offender benefits monetarily from unaliving. Examples of these types of crimes are Black Widow unalivings, robbery homicides, or multiple unalivings involving insurance or welfare fraud. Okay. I mean, I would put the Black Widow in a, they say quote unquote Black Widow, unalivings and serial unalivers. Multiple unalivings involving insurance or welfare fraud. Okay. Let's think about it for a second. How about yeah, I'm thinking the same thing, Kel or Zoe. Um, hospital workers, maybe? That wouldn't be welfare. That'd be like Medicaid, Medicare. Welfare? I don't know. That one's confusing. Because if you're multiple unalivings involving insurance or welfare fraud, that seems like that would fall under more like mass unaliving, not serial unaliving. I guess they're just saying that those are type financial gain motivations. I got it, maybe. They're not listing any category for. That's not what that said. Oh, they represent general categories. We're overthinking it, Toy. Which has happened. Yes, food stamps, Medicaid, etc. Any of the things that help the poor or disabled. Yeah, I was trying to put that in serial unaliver, but they're general categories, so I was overthinking it. Yes, well, and there's been a lot of those cases that we've seen where they continue to get the welfare check and the person's they're gone. Ah, they never caught Jack the Stripper. He was active in West London during the years of 1964 and 1965. Well, Flashman, all I can say is he didn't last long. Sorry. Now Jack the Clipper is a guy who used to sneak into the Intuit Dome. Intuit Dome? I don't get it, Zach. I don't know where that sports is that the sports arena? I missed the info. I got it. I see everything you put up there, Flashman. Ah, the LA Clippers. See, I don't follow the NBA. Sorry. Sorry. Oh, the Black Widow case. Got it. I thought you were still talking about Jack the Stripper. Ideology is a motivation to commit unalivings in order to further the goals and ideas of a specific individual or group. Examples of these include terrorist groups or an individual or individuals who attack a specific race, a specific racial, gender, or ethnic group. Power/thrill is a motivation in which the offender feels empowered and or excited when he unalives his victims. They keep just referring to them as men. Jack the Sniffer was an out of control urologist that snuck into guys' rooms and gave them vasectomies. Oh, you were. Oh, you deleted it. Well, sorry, because it doesn't delete on StreamYard, Flashman. No. So, Toy, you and I were looking at this the same. This is a general category. These are not just for serial unalivers. Because yeah, you and I were looking at that the same. And Jack the Flipper would give the middle finger to others. It's me, I'm Jack the Flipper. And weirdly, Zach comes on right under his daughter Carmen and says Jack the Flipper snuck into SeaWorld and got destroyed by an orca. Oh my gosh. You're welcome, Toy. Yeah, you and I were looking at it in a small scale when we should have been on a larger scale. Psychosis is a situation in which the offender is suffering from a severe mental illness and is unaliving because of that illness. That may include auditory and or visual hallucinations and paranoid, grandiose, or bizarre delusions. Smexually based is a motivation driven by smexual needs or desires of the offender. There may or may not be overt sexual contact reflected in the crime scene. An offender selects a victim, regardless of the category, based upon availability, vulnerability, and desirability. Availability is explained as the lifestyle of the victim or circumstances in which the victim is involved. That allows the offender access to the victim. Vulnerability is defined as the degree to which the victim is susceptible to attack by the offender. Desirability, there's a lot of ability there, is described as the appeal of the victim to the offender. Desirability involves numerous factors based upon the motivation of the offender and may include factors dealing with the race, gender, ethnic background, age of the victim, other specific preferences the offender determines. Hey, Becca. How you doing? Sorry you just got here, but apparently violence towards cats as children is a strong indicator. I would for real. And you just derailed again, Zach. It's okay. Because for real, it's hilarious. Flashman, AJ, would you consider that guy I'm doing the one who used insulin as a serial unaliver? Would I consider? You're gonna have to send me a message, Flashman. Emma Kenny says so. Well, if Emma Kenny says it, I will believe you, Becca, because you said it. Oh, that's the end of that one. Ooh. Ah. But Prince liked purple. He wasn't a serial unaliver. He's alive, but that's on him. All right, give me my other page. One second. Ah, purple is the best color ever. She's behind Zach. Really? YouTube edited your Prince comment? Toy, you've just been having a horrible time with YouTube today. I don't know why that's back up there, Zach. Sorry. Ah, Toy, don't say that. I don't want to believe that. You taught Prince's guitar tech how to skydive. I believe you, Becca, because you are a woman who has had a very interesting life. Hey, Ronnie. Glad to see you didn't freeze in 47-degree weather. Very jealous. Very jealous. All right, so we're going to switch gears just a little bit and talk about the media and their involvement in serial unalivers, because they're great. Always. There we go. I think my glasses have a spot like right in the middle where I'm trying to read. So give me 1 second. Not that that's an excuse for all the words I can't say, but not because YouTube won't let me say them. My mouth won't. No, Dare, there's no fun facts when it comes to serial unalivers. Unfortunately, or fortunately. I don't know. Whatever. Oh, there we go. All right, media issues in serial unaliving investigations. I can't imagine media ever getting in the way. Serial unaliver cases are inherently newsworthy. Some investigations last for years. Many attract attention because of the type of victims involved, and in others, the serial unalivers themselves are media attractive. Media attention is exacerbated by the insatiable demands of the 24 hours a day, 7 days a week news reporting industry. So they're blaming us, right? The constant news attention on the investigation inevitably results in conflicts with law enforcement. Say it ain't so. Often, the relationship between law enforcement and the media is not a close one. Hmm. I was really kind of just thought that was on TV. In some law enforcement agencies, there is a long history of distrust and resentment underpinning this relationship. From the law enforcement perspective, the media publishes unauthorized information from investigations, hypothesizes on, I don't know why there's a line there, on investigative progress, and uses talking heads to critique the investigative efforts. From the media standpoint, law enforcement withholds too much information and does not communicate adequately with the media. And then they kind of boohoo about it. My added comments. It is counterproductive for law enforcement to sustain contentious relationships with the media while attempting to develop an overall strategy for a successful serial unaliving investigation. The only party who benefits from this negative relationship is the serial unaliver, who may continue to avoid detection. A respectful, cooperative relationship between law enforcement and the media will serve the missions of both. Okay? Well, Becca, thanks for stopping by. I hope your dramas are not that big and are easy to deal with. Yeah, Flash me. I agree. The media chose to be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We don't need them to be that. I mean, come on if there's something that happens. Absolutely, Ronnie. Ronnie says, I can totally see that with the media. Always want to be first to post. You heard it here first. Yep. Haley Mouse, hello. Hey, Daisy Jones. How you doing? Good to see you again. Dahmer didn't want to be left, so he saved. Yeah, he did stuff with he did things. He did things. But I guess I can see where media and law enforcement don't get along very well because they do feel law enforcement has to withhold information because um they need to have something that proves to them that hey, we didn't release this to the public and this person knew this. So of course they have to withhold information. And so get over that. But then the media is over there trying to find out all the information they can find out, and they really don't care, right? They don't care what it does to the investigation because Ronnie's right. You heard it here first. It's kind of, it's just kind of a weird, it's kind of a little toxic relationship, wouldn't you think? A little tiny bit toxic. It becomes essential for law enforcement personnel involved in a serial unaliving investigation to design and implement an effective media plan. The plan should provide timely information on a regular basis without compromising the investigative endeavors. It is essential for media releases to be closely coordinated with investigative strategies. This helps determine the best times to both educate and solicit information from the public concerning certain aspects of the investigation. Once a media plan is established, law enforcement can be more proactive than reactive in its media strategy. You're a serial cookie eater. Why can't we have a serial cookie eater? And you are the serial cookie eater. So there we go. We have one. Look at that. Yes, Ronnie, very much. Sometimes the media will post so hastily that sometimes it's incorrect information. Absolutely. And then sometimes it seems like the media. Okay, so I'll say the media and law enforcement maybe doesn't get along. But media and prosecutors' offices seem to get along very well and driving the narrative that they being the prosecutor, wants to put out about a certain suspect before that person ever goes to trial. And we see that sometimes play out in the courtroom of you're not supposed to have any preconceived notions. You're not supposed to have heard or watched anything on the news, but sometimes it's really hard to not see stuff. And I think that the media is very good at driving the narrative. Sorry, flash. You laughed so hard you were choking. Please don't choke. Yes. She's one of them that the media um, has covered like probably every day. Um, there's lots of trials out there that the big trials, I don't know how you find anybody that hasn't heard about it. Like, tell me how they found somebody that had not heard of OJ Simpson. Like, please. There's no way. All right. So this is talks about how they should have a public information officer that goes out to speak on behalf of the investigation, blah, blah, blah. I can tell you here, um, the Indiana State Police one that he speaks about investigations. I really, when he's, and this is Delphi, so whatever your opinion on Delphi is, that's fine. I won't argue with you. Um, when he first started giving us information, I was like, okay, he seems like a pretty straightforward dude. I wouldn't trust him any farther than I could throw him right now with anything. Like I don't trust I that case was so messed up and still messed up that I would not. So I hope that they get a better person to release stuff to the public because if he's saying it, I'm gonna be like, yep, whatever. Let's see. Talks about press releases. Um, It says press releases should always have very specific objectives. New releases should be reviewed by lead investigators and management prior to dissemination. Investigators should consult with proven behavioral experts experienced in serial unaliving cases before releasing any behavioral based offender information. Hmm. Let's go by this. Here we go. Inaccurate information distributed by media regarding a serial unaliving investigation should be identified and addressed by law enforcement as soon as possible. Such information may include statements made by talking heads solicited by the media. We can talk about them talking heads in just one second. This may require daily monitoring of news broadcasts and print media by investigators. Good news for you, print media is on its passing away bed because it's almost not a thing anymore. This may require daily monitoring of news broadcasts and print medias and me repeating myself to identify incorrect statements and or misinformation. Contact should be made as soon as possible with media outlets to have erroneous information corrected or retracted. If the media outlet will not address the issue, corrective press releases should be quickly disseminated, either verbally or in written form. Regular meetings with owners and managers of media outlets during the course of a serial unaliving investigation may help alleviate these issues. Okay. Sorry. I get a little salty about the media. Also, when they issue a correction, it's well, it's a little blurb on somewhere buried where you can't find it and you don't care because you're not looking for it. But the main thing was bold type, front page news. And then they don't, and that's what everybody remembers. Yes, thanks for the salt. They don't see the correction. The corrections are never, "We got it wrong." And how often do we see this happen? In high-profile serial unaliving cases, the media may attempt to interact with members of the victims' families. Victims' families suffer emotionally from their loss and may interact with the media in ways that could negatively impact the case. A victim's family's goals and objectives may not correspond with those of law enforcement. This can be exacerbated when the investigation continues for a long period of time without conclusion. Establishing liaison with each of the victims' families is the simplest way to counteract this. As we discussed previously, in the investigative section, a single law enforcement, oh, we didn't discuss that section, so sorry. But I'll read it. As we discussed previously in the investigative section that we didn't read, a single law enforcement officer should act as a liaison for each of the victims' families. Aside from the traditional liaison role, the officer also educates the family as to the tenacious demands for information by the media and the potential negative consequences that unauthorized releases of information bring to the investigation. They always focus on the defendant, not the victims. Absolutely. Absolutely. Flash fan. Uh, Most of the time, nobody can even name the victims of these. Well, I mean, John Wayne Gacy or a Dahmer or an Eileen Wuornos, there's a ton of victims. So it probably would be hard to remember them, but nobody can tell you their names except the families. Let's see. And then talk about forming a web page to kind of disseminating information to the public and bypassing the media. Law enforcement should anticipate the inevitable public reaction resulting from an announcement that the investigation involves a serial unaliver. Either the media will link the cases and proclaim a serial unaliver is operating, or investigators will proactively release the information. The investigative team should be prepared for either situation. If the media makes the announcement, it is important for law enforcement to quickly respond so they do not appear unprepared or defensive. If law enforcement plans on making the announcement, the release should be timed to gain investigative advantage. Huh. I mean, yeah. Hey, Tash. How you doing? Good to see you. So, if the media comes out and says something first, and then law enforcement follows them up, are you gonna be a little torn on which one to believe? It's like to me, it creates a divide between the 2. So, I don't know, it's not good. There have been several serial unalivers who actively communicated with the police or the media. In these cases, investigators should consult with behavioral experts to assist with proactive media strategy. I'm glad I'm someone on someone's wave because sometimes I'm just on my own. Media strategy case vignette. I had to make sure I was saying that word right earlier. The BT case is an example of how a proactive media strategy contributed to the capture of a serial unaliver. BTK first emerged in 1974 and over time unalived a total of 10 victims. From 1974 until 1998, BTK sent a series of 5 communications to the media, citizens, and the police, in which he not only named himself BTK, find them, torture them, ill with a K, them, but also claimed credit for unaliving a number of the victims. He abruptly stopped communicating in 1988. He reemerged in 2004 by sending a new communication to the media. The Wichita Police Department formed a task force with the Kansas City Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, and other agencies. The FBI BAU 2 was contacted and provided a proactive media strategy that was utilized throughout the case. This strategy involved using the lieutenant in charge of the investigation to provide written press releases at critical times, which resulted in 15 press releases during the course of the investigation. BTK provided 11 communications to the police and the media during the 11-month investigation. The last communication BTK sent included a computer disk containing information that eventually identified Dennis Rader as BTK. During Rader's interrogation, he commented positively on the press releases and his perceived relationship with the investigative lieutenant who issued the press statements. He thought they were friends. Okay. So, yeah, that Rex Herman, or however you say his last name, I haven't really followed that because there's been so much information out there, and I want to watch it play out in court and not watch what they want me to see, if that makes sense. That's the best. Help cops find you. I did that to a friend's iPad. I took it to make a point and helped him look for it. I gave it back when he gave up. Absolutely, Flashman. Flashman says, I mean, look how the media is treating Luigi. Is it Mangoni? Mangione? Whatever. Um, when I was on Hulu last night, I saw that somebody was doing, I don't know who it was, like 48 Hours, ABC, whatever, um, a big story about him. And it's just like you're going to try him and convict him before uh, we ever see it, what they actually have. And that's you think Adair says, think Bundy was caught by dental impressions, brilliant detective stuff. I don't know. That stuff's been called into question. That technique. Oh, no cameras in New York. I wish, and that's like our state is allowed to have cameras in the courtroom and chooses not to, which is dumb. You can you can watch it like by Zoom on some of the, if like Michigan has a map that you can click the counties. So like if you want to watch Middleton or whatever, whoever doesn't have a YouTube channel, but the camera angles are so bad and the audio is so bad. Yeah, it came close and then she said no. Delphi should have had cameras 100%. All right. The issues regarding talking heads in the media. Uh, yeah, I don't know if she's dumb, but she's very kind of arrogant, in my opinion. That's just me. The public's interest in serial unaliving cases makes serial unaliving an attractive storyline for the media. To further the public's interest in these cases, the media uses people who are willing to speak as experts on the topic of serial unaliving, and more specifically, individuals willing to comment on the current featured case, like we were just talking about. These commentators are so commonly referred to as talking heads, and it appears that there is no shortage of people willing to do this. Just look at YouTube. No offense to anybody that does it. Good for you. But I guess we're all talking heads. We're just not these kinds of talking heads. Individuals utilized, yes, the experts. They're so fun. I'm not an expert. I don't even play one on TV, and I never claim to be one. Haley, I have a head and you talk. I also saw what you said your cat would call you last night, and that was hilarious. Starts with a B, ends with itch. And it was funny because she likes your husband better than you. Well, I did one Indiana case on here, Flash Fan. It was a sad case, and it was a bench trial. It was a mom was accused of unaliving her newborn accidentally, maybe. I don't know. But at the end of the trial, the judge looked at the state and said, "You charged her wrong." And he had to let her go. So I guess they was honest. It was very sad, though. I don't remember how old the baby was. Very, very young. She said that she propped the baby on the couch with a pillow and then propped the bottle up for the baby and then took her younger kids and went back to her bedroom, which I'm like, why did you not take the baby with you back there? That doesn't make any sense. To watch a movie, and they fell asleep. And the baby, they think, then um, suffocated from like turning over, but couldn't turn itself. It couldn't move away. It was so young. She was so young. And by the time mom woke up, she was gone. Yeah, it was crazy. It was so sad. Yeah. So, but, and there's another woman here. I think she's going to be prosecuted this time, but she fell asleep with an infant on the couch, rolled over, and suffocated it. And they let her go. And she did it again. And that's what she said when she like Britney Speared it. Oops, I did it again. I mean, it was insane when I read that. I'm like, well, she didn't learn. Please don't let her have any more children. Yes, we watched it, Flash Fan. Also has to do with babies. The home birth, uh, the midwife trial, where the state was accusing her of causing the death of the baby because it was breech, and they didn't get to the hospital. I'm surprised you didn't watch that with us. Yeah, I thought you were here for that one. That was really just very graphic on what happened to that baby and the mom. But at the end of the day, there is no law that said you had to go to the hospital to have a baby. And she didn't want to. They found her not guilty. That was also a bench trial. Yeah, I don't either. Yeah, I know. On a couch in the woods. I don't remember that one, Ronnie. The young mother who left her son on a couch in the woods. What state? Yes. That is where the shocker came in. Uh-huh. Haley, I know it's hard to juggle time with multiple kids, but I always fed my babies in my arms until they could do it themselves properly. Yeah, that baby, like, one, don't pop bottles, but two, was too young to even been left alone. Yes, Daisha Lacey, 2-month-old. Oh, she confessed to smothering her and being ugh, I don't remember her confessing to that. But I do remember the verdict, then when the judge said, "You didn't charge her right." Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember that one, Ronnie. Left her young son. Young mother who left her son on a couch. Like an infant son. Unfortunately, I've had no shortage of baby horrible trials, which sucks. You talking Peru, Indiana, or Peru like the South America? She said, "Okay, Carmen, stop." What happened to Honey? I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Individuals utilized by the media to comment on serial unaliving cases include both experts and pseudo experts. Experts are identified as, I had to look up how to say this word, academicians, researchers, retired law enforcement officials, mental health professionals, and retired law enforcement profilers who have developed, I about said Pacific because there was, I know it's specific knowledge and experience in serial unaliving investigation. Pseudo experts are self proclaimed profilers and others who profess to have expertise in serial unaliving when in fact their experience is limited or non existent. The media will recruit talking heads, whether true experts or pseudo experts, to offer their opinions on current cases when they have no official role in the investigation and no access to any of the intimate facts of the case. Well, I don't know. The FBI, Jess, I had to look up how to say that freaking word. And then I had to phonetically spell it so I would remember. Because I'm like, what is that word? Ronnie. Oh, look at that. A couple years ago. Boy Under 5. Yeah, that one's just not ringing a bell. I don't know. How we identify papers? Show me your degrees? I don't know. Because I don't even think just because somebody has papers like degrees, sometimes people that don't have all the degrees still have more experience in things. So I don't know. I did not watch Jodi Arias Flash Fan. Yes, how is the handler feeling today? She's out. Good. She needs to be out. She needs to be out and getting some rest. Degrees and can't think. I've known some very smart people, I've said this before, that I would not allow to cross the street by themselves because the common sense there wasn't any. And I'll take my common sense. Cherise Stenson. I don't know. I'll have to look that up because that is not ringing a bell. Yes, it was because I was I was still in high school at the time when I met her. She was in college, and I thought, how did you even get to work today? I just was like, whoa. I don't know. When and when individuals appear in the media and discuss ongoing cases, they have an enormous potential to negatively influence investigations and may even cause irreversible damage. No kidding. They often speculate on the motive for the unalivings and the possible characteristics of the offender. Such statements can misinform the public and may heighten fears in the community. They may contribute to mistrust and lack of confidence in law enforcement. Wow. And more importantly, may taint potential jury pools. Sorry, there's so much truth in those lines right there, and they don't care. They're getting a paycheck. These statements may also impact the behavior of the serial unaliver because it is unlikely that the offender discriminates between a talking head and a law enforcement official actively involved in the case. When offenders are challenged by statements or derogatory comments made in the media, they may destroy evidence and, or more tragically, react violently. I know, Toy. Like, truth right there. I did not watch the Lonely Hearts trial back in 1949, Flash fan. Sorry. Missed that one. Attendees of the symposium were asked to discuss the issue and offer written comments. The following observations were made. Law enforcement is strongly encouraged to continue its release of information to the public during an investigation. Yes, in order to alert the community to a public safety issue or to solicit assistance in the identification and or capture of an offender. Yes, that is common sense. There is a difference between law enforcement agencies proactively releasing information about an ongoing case and talking heads who comment on a case when they have no investigative information. Yeah. Flashman, they didn't have, did they have cameras back then? Ha ha, ha ha. I wasn't even, my dad was 8 years old in 1949. There wasn't a twinkle yet. Members of the media are encouraged to closely examine the credentials of any experts whom they are considering utilizing to ascertain if the qualifications and experience level they claim is accurate. Huh. Sometimes it doesn't feel like they do that. When an expert is retained by the media, having the expert's qualifications listed on a public website nobody would go look at would offer the community the opportunity to assess the expert's authenticity and credibility. My credibility is over there on the credenza waiting to be hung up downstairs. I know right where my credibility is. If anybody was wondering, Gabby sent it to me. Flash fan. Your grandma and my dad are about the same age. You youngster. Responsible retired law enforcement officers, clinicians, academicians. Oh, they used it twice. Good for them. Good for them. And researchers who are asked to provide statements concerning ongoing cases should refrain from doing so unless requested by or with the permission of the agency who has jurisdictional responsibility over the case. Yeah, not happening. Journalists seem to want to be Woodward and Bernstein and Watergate. Gotta get there first. I don't know a lot about Watergate because I was too young, Flash fan. I wasn't there. Oh, Teresa Black. Yes. I do remember that case. I just didn't remember where I wouldn't have, I didn't piece that part together. But yeah, she's where she belongs. But I don't think she even got that much time, right? Because of when they had to sentence her for that time when the 1999, I don't think they sentenced her to life, if I remember correctly, but who knows? That is not very nice, Flash fan. Individuals who have developed an expertise in a given field recognize that before an opinion can be rendered, complete and accurate information must be obtained and analyzed. Okay. Therefore, it is inappropriate, even for acknowledged experts in serial unaliving, to offer opinions regarding a specific case based solely upon incomplete and potentially inaccurate information available through the media. If responsible professionals are requested to provide statements about ongoing cases, the following guidelines are suggested. Let's see how many of these guidelines we've seen them follow. Speak in general terms only. Do not comment on the particulars of the current case. Do not criticize the criticize the investigative efforts. That one I think gets broken. Do not misrepresent one's credential or experience. I can't speak on that. I don't know. Provide information to educate the public on the issues involving serial unaliving. It was the opinion of the experts at the symposium that it is not possible to regulate or officially censor comments made by the talking heads during serial unaliving investigations, which that's good. They should not, because don't censor, and there's that free speech thing. That's kind of a big deal. However, a policy statement issued by law enforcement to the media would be appropriate. So give them a talking to. And below is an example of such a statement. All right. The media's role in reporting the facts of a case is a major public service. However, providing a forum for speculative commentary can be counterproductive and potentially dangerous. Public comments on an active investigation with incomplete or incorrect information are merely speculation and can seriously jeopardize an ongoing case and place citizens at great risk. Which would be the next news story. Right? Accordingly, we respectfully request that restraint be exercised and comments withheld until after an arrest has been made. Yeah, they don't care. I think that's the end. The end. They don't care. They don't care. Everything you said in that paragraph right there, they don't care or do. And if a citizen is at great risk, they will be the next news story. Sorry. If it bleeds, it leads. There's a reason that's a saying. All right. Well, I hope that informed you on some of the weird things that go on in symposiums in Vegas, where the FBI comes together and has a. I wish they did have to call it a serial unaliver or exposium. I'm just making up words now. Symposium, because that would be funny. So that is all I have for you today. Ooh, I went almost 2 hours. My apologies, because I really want to try to keep these down to an hour. So I apologize. I am going to redirect you over somewhere. They have a crime museum in Vegas. Of course I do. Thanks, Carmen. Now go to sleep. Yes, for professional purposes and not entertainment. I don't know where better place to have a crime museum than Vegas. Oh my gosh. Especially on YouTube. I don't think people realize how fast time goes by. It's insane. The other day, I didn't realize we had been going for like almost 3 hours. I was like, holy crap, I gotta go. Enjoy your Italian sub, Flash fan. Be ready for Friday. If you need to send me anything, so if you need me to pull up any documents or anything for Friday, send me a message. So I have them. Thanks, Haley. I'm glad. See you Friday, Kelly. Hope the rest of your week goes well, and it is well. They used to have Simpson. Oh, the Simpson Bronco. Of course. All right, let me see who's live. And we will go there. Let's see. Where you guys want to go? I don't know where to send you. Yes, Zach, it was Flash Fan derailing us all day today. Well, I don't know where you guys want to go. I don't know. I guess I'm not sending you anywhere. Crime Cafe is doing a barrel Daryl Brooks trial rewatch. Law Talk with Mike is live, but he would be like, I don't even know who that is, redirecting to me. Who is that? Oh, I picked somebody. Oh, I picked a Law Talk with Mike. All right. We're not going to redirect. Sorry. I wanted to pay the redirects back, but none of those people are. I'm not sending you to Law and Crime. No way. I'm just not sending you anywhere. I will see you guys all Friday with Flash Fan at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, where Flash Fan will be presenting the DC fan, the Freeway Phantom. I'm excited and I can't wait. And I know he's going to do a great job, and I will not yell at him because I've never yelled at him. So, all right, guys, see you guys all Friday. Enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy tomorrow. Till Friday. Bye.